and welcome to Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Kairi Kikuru, sitting in for Sheon Okimbaloye here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Well, tonight on the program, time is of the essence, as always. So much to touch on. Well, it's been an eventful week, quite all right, with the political parties intensifying their campaigns at various levels with different events, as you'll expect. After all, it's the season, the political season. But all of that will mean nothing if they're not targeted at resolving very present issues and challenges faced by everyday Nigerians. Now, take the flooding situation, for example. This year's flood has been described as the worst since 2012, with over 600 deaths and 2 million people affected. The water has also washed away farmlands, raising fears of a possible food crisis. So while there's a lot about the politic and the campaigning, these are very present issues that need emergency solutions. So, yes, the present challenges are there for this nation and by extension for our sub-region. But whatever happens in Nigeria usually affects not just the West African region, even Africa at large. So the role of states in this disaster has been highlighted as well. The role of all the state governments and sub-nationals have been highlighted. And today, we will be speaking to that and, of course, the political intrigues that have characterized the past few days and weeks. Well, the People's Democratic Party, for example, has seen its fair share. And tonight, we're starting from the sphere of the People's Democratic Party. It's been quite an eventful week. The issues are there. So without taking too much time, let's delve into them because there's so much to touch on the program tonight. And we're joined by a member of the People's Democratic Party's Board of Trustees, is a former Deputy National Chairman South of the PDP, former military governor in Nigeria. Chief Olabode George is our guest on the program tonight, joining us from here in Lagos. It's good to have you on the program, Chief.
Yeah, always my pleasure, and happy Sunday to you.
Well, I wish you the same, but maybe not for a lot of people, really, Chief George, especially those who have been affected by floods. And I'd like us to start from that note, because I know that there was a call by one of the presidential candidates that other candidates should suspend the campaigns to help those affected by the floods in the country. Your party has continued campaigns yesterday in Edo State, where incidentally there's been flooding as well. Over 12 communities flooded in that state. I just wonder for you, do you see any issue with that?
It's a lot of issue. If you are campaigning, to win the hearts and minds of the Nigerian people, anything that would disrupt their state of mind should be your major concern. Because if you are going out campaigning, all you are telling people is, trust me, I will manage the resources and the crisis of this country for your benefit. Once you have a major concern, an environmental disaster of this level, it calls to reason that people should be empathic. People should show some concern for the lives and properties of the people they are wooing. I agree that suspending a campaign for 1 or 2 days and see how much you can contribute physically, financially, morally, to further strengthen the belief of the people that we have good managers who will run this country for them. It makes a lot of sense. And I don't know which of them said they should suspend, but I agree with him entirely.
Well, it was a candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, that gave that suggestion. Incidentally, he was visiting a PDP governor, Governor Samuel Otom, in Abuja when he made that statement, saying he would also do the same. So is this a call maybe to your party organs to suspend the campaigning for a few days?
I would advise them. I would advise them to do the same. Because if we are going out and we are trying to woo the hearts and minds of the people, anything that would disrupt their perfect state of mind should also be our major concern. It makes a lot of sense, both political and also spiritual. You know, you cannot close your eyes and pretend that you didn't know what is having this terrible effect on the lives of our people. I will plead with our party, the managers, to please suspend it and also key in morally the contribution to NEMA, whatever advice they will give those in government, and do something so that it will be impactful on their mindset that this party has so much sympathy and concern, not only to take their votes, but to give something back to them. And, you know, politics as against politricks. Politics is defined as the management of the resources of the land for the benefit of the people, and the management of crisis that will alleviate their suffering is also part of what is defined as politics. Anything out of this premise, is called politricks. So don't just keep telling them, vote for me, vote for me. They are in crisis. Most of them have lost their properties, they've lost their homes, and you are not showing any major concern. What kind of human being, what kind of leader do you want to be? All you want is to cream the icing on the cake and forget about them. These are the same people you are going to ask, please trust me, come and vote for me on the voting day. They've lost a lot of their properties. Some people have even died. It's a major concern, for God's sake. And our party that I know, because I was part of the management for 10 years, would have been in the forefront, trying to appease to the people, to show empathy and show concern, and contribute money for feeding. Somewhere, you know, they've lost their homes, assist them, contribute something. That's exactly what is happening, what happened in Florida a couple of weeks ago. We cannot just close our eyes and pretend that it doesn't matter because it has not directly affected you. They are Nigerians, for God's sake. So I completely, morally, spiritually, and physically, I'm in support of that idea that we have to show some sense of oneness to these Nigerians.
Right, perhaps also another definition added for political science students, politricks, essentially. Maybe that's for the academics to study now. But
yeah, politricks.
Let's now talk about, your party. With the myriad of challenges facing the nation, yes, we recognize that. But for your party, the PDP, how determined, how well put together, how ready would you say the PDP is in its bid to win elections come 2023, considering the fair share of intra-party politics within your party?
Okay.
I'm not sure you got that.
I don't want to. The last bit of it, I didn't catch your last comment.
Okay, yeah. I was just referencing the intra-party conflicts we've seen.
Conflicts, yeah. Okay, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record. Severally on this your channel, on some other stations and radio, I've made so many comments about the problems affecting our party. And it looks like we are just talking into the air, to an empty air, and nobody seems to be listening. And I want to plead with those who are managing the campaign, who are going around and thinking that you can exercise a sizable percentage of Nigerians and don't show that you bother about them. But remember, you need their votes. You need their commitment. Because whoever wins this election will not be managing just one zone of the country. He will be managing the entirety called Nigerian. And if at this starting point you show no regard for them, you show no regard for their needs, you show no regard for their concern, I call it politricks and not politics. A politician should be able to address every nook and cranny of the country, convince all the tribes, no matter how minority they are, to convince them that you will be a nationalist leader, a leader that will carry their burden on your head and will be able to manage our resources. Because you see, this is a beautiful country. I have traversed the length and breadth of this beautiful Nigeria. There is no part of this country that is not blessed. You are telling them, trust me, I will manage the resources of this land for your benefit. But I want you to trust me. I want you to vote for me. First of all, they ask, what kind of man are you? What have you done in your life? How can we trust you? What have you done with the ones you had done before? So these questions will go up and down to convince them. Card-carrying members, yes. But what about the majority of non-card-carrying members? The electorate, the will of the people will be respected. More so now that the procedure of electioneering, the new INEC procedure, has taken us from the doldrums of Stone Age. We are now on the high-tech age, where as you are voting, people at home can monitor the results once you can key in. So it is not business as usual. You cannot discountenance anybody. And that is what seems to be driving our party. And I want to appeal. You know, if you look at it, the elections will come. The first elections will be end of February.
Right.
This is end of October. We still have a little bit of window. 24 hours, they say in politics, is a very long time. Let me appeal to these guys. They've been campaigning, they've been, you know, to me, deceiving themselves. Oh, we have the crowd here, we don't need them. What? I am shell-shocked that you don't need, you're not a military government. You are behaving as if the laurel is already within your ambit. No. The decision to decide whether you will be given that mantle will be coming in February. They are watching. They are looking. Yes, we members, card-carrying members, yeah, we have our little problems. If we cannot resolve our problems within this little ambit, how would the larger Nigerians trust us that we will be able to manage the myriad of problems besieging our nation?
Right.
Which sector do you see that is okay, that is healthy now? You just mentioned the economic, the environment, the flooding. What has happened? Nothing. The economy, the naira to dollar. What is it? We are crashing like the whole world was coming to an end. So I am appealing to them. They talk whether they should, instead of facing the reality of the situation, they are always ready to throw abuses, throwing stones at this, throwing stones at that, having some spurious suggestions to make, and saying in the larger concept that you don't matter.
So, Chief George, if I can comment now. So you're saying essentially that by way of an update to Nigerians, there's been no improvement whatsoever. As you've said, various pleas have been made. So you're saying there's been no improvement in the situation whatsoever?
I can't see it. I can't see it. I cannot see it. All right. I cannot see it.
So I know that the Board of Trustees...
Because what we are saying, the Board of Trustees met. They sat, we are told by one group that what they recommended wasn't what the chairman of the Board of Trustees the acting chairman of the Board of Trustees, said on the day they were presenting the report amongst themselves to BOT. So what is going on? For example, I wasn't invited to that meeting. I'm a live member of the Board of Trustees. We were not there. And the shocking part of it, when I saw it on the television, I saw that Iyorchia Ayu, the chairman, the national chairman of the party, who was the center of the issue, was now sitting as a judge in his own case. Does that make any judicial sense? You are discussing about him. He's sitting as if he was the one moderating it. That is not the way things are done. So I don't know what is the factual, the final analysis. Right. All we were told was that they decided that, yes, Ayu made a promise, he must honor his promise. On that day, we were told again that though that was not what was said was that Ayu should make a promise that he will, once the elections are over, he will leave, that he should make that promise. My goodness, time is of essence. Nobody is going to wait for us. So, Nigerians, the larger people who will be voting, for God's sake, we want to win this election, are watching us. Are we good managers? Are we pretenders? Are we servicing just a section of the country and telling the other section, you don't matter? That is not the way to play politics. That is politics.
So do you have
for God's sake,
trust?
Wake up. We have a few weeks ahead to clean ourselves up.
Right. Are you saying then, let me just put it straight, how much of faith, how much of trust, confidence do you have in the BOT led by Senator Wabara? He's been going around, he has met some of the aggrieved parties, and he said there have been recommendations put on the ground. How much faith and confidence do you have in the BOT to at least see this through, ensure that the recommendations which you say were made are the ones that are pushed through?
You know, let me put it this way. Kadi, let me put it this way. On that very day, at the BOT meeting, when the then chairman got up at the meeting and said he was resigning, I was shell-shocked. I was the first to raise my hand to ask him pointedly, why are you resigning? Is it as a result of a medical issue, or is it a pressure from your family, or pressure from where? How are we, because the situation has arisen where the Board of Trustees, the responsibility of the Board of Trustees is to wade into crisis when they arise. Now, what are we going to tell Nigerians? What are we going to tell and convince Nigerians now that it is the responsibility of the Board of Trustees to take over the crisis between the national chairman, the party, and the rest of us? You say you are resigning. You cannot resign at this point. I said it pointedly there. But he told me quietly that, you know, they asked him to step aside. To step aside? That day, I knew something was amiss. Something that is unusual was going on. And I said to myself, when I saw the fireworks at that meeting, it took me back to the founding fathers. We must have disagreements, but we must never be disagreeable. Nobody has the complete wisdom of knowledge. Let us put our heads together. We can, like we did during this zoning, the same thing happened. We put our heads together to be able to resolve the crisis, whether the national chair, the presidential candidate should be zoned to the south or zoned to the north. Arguments were adduced. People discussed them. That we had different inputs. But in the final analysis, as the eggheads the board of trustees, the elders, the upper chamber, we were able to resolve it.
Right.
And the constitution was still there. But for the efficacy of that moment, we were able to resolve it and allowed everybody to contest.
So
now,
do you still have the same faith in the current BOT as constituted and headed?
I don't know what they are doing. Wagbara is my good friend. He's an experienced man. The way I saw the composition of those who went around, yeah, they are all hands. And there are still older, more experienced people in the BOT. That's the beauty of it. And then I don't know whether they mistakenly removed my name but it doesn't matter to me. Let's talk the truth to power. The moment we stop telling the truth to power, how do we convince the larger society that we will be able to handle their problems to the satisfaction of the majority of the people?
Right.
I am getting really, really miffed, and I don't want to use the word angry, but it is dementing everything that I have stood for in my life. I come from a home. My great-granduncle was the first Nigerian politician. What he left as a principle, Papa Herbert Macaulay, was that justice, fairness, and equity must always be a tripod on which you must practice. So what are we doing now? There is nobody you can discountenance. Once he's a Nigerian, you must take care of him. You must listen to him.
Well, Chief Judge, quite a number of issues.
In fact, I am afraid.
Right. You can land on that point, please.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that I want us, for God's sake, to continue to talk.
All right.
To harmonize.
Speaking of the next line of action.
Nobody is a fool. Yes.
Right. Speaking of the next line of action, I know there have been calls for some NEC meeting to hold, perhaps to deliberate on the report by the BOT. How do you expect this to go? Because you've said that you essentially don't want and Senator Ayu to preside over, to be judge and jury in his own case. So how does the G5 and you, how do you want this to be resolved, essentially?
Now they went, I think they met with Governor Wike. Governor Wike is not the only one on this track. Governor Wike, yes, is one of our governors, but he's not the only one. I would have expected the Art Committee to have gone around all the other elders to listen to their input and see. I accept, and I'm on the same page with what Wike is saying. But Governor Wike handles River State. I am a bona fide Lagosian. I am a Yoruba man, thoroughbred Yoruba man, the Atono Odua of Yoruba land. What we are saying in the distribution of all this, how would I go on board any rostrum to campaign that this our candidate, this is what we are going to bring home to you? They are telling me, wait until after election. Does that make any political sense? That in my Yoruba parlance, they say, "Kò sí ọ̀bọ ní Dorimo." The Dore monkey has already started wearing dresses. There's no ọ̀bọ in Idore. So let us give us what we can take home.
Right.
To show our people that we still have this sense of belonging. Number one, we have a candidate who is APC candidate, who is from my own extraction. You are telling us, don't worry, when we finish, we win, yeah, we will now consider that. Whom are you going to tell that? In this modern age? Give us what you want to give us. Like they also say in my local palace, in Kote Yebaje, Magbefo. I can see it. And you are trivializing it. You are trivializing it and thinking it doesn't matter. My goodness, what does it matter?
Well, now that you've brought in Lagos...
The truth is the truth.
Right. Now that you've brought in Lagos, there's so much going on in Lagos
Yeah.
as well. I mean, Lagos, which you say is so dear to you.
No,
You've said
sure.
that you're on the same page with Governor Wike. But
It is.
I wonder what the fate of your dream of the PDP winning the governorship seat in Lagos will be or is, with Governor Wike endorsing Governor Sanwo-Olu for a second term. Are you on the same page with Governor Wike on that one?
You know, when Governor Wike came to Lagos, it is true that he was invited by his colleague, you know, to come and share some program. We were not invited. I think the governor of Lagos State too had been invited to Rivers to commission one of his projects. So one of our officers came around to me and said, sir, did you hear what Governor Wike said? That, you know, the governor of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, is doing his second term. And because of the good job, they will find it difficult to be able to defeat him. That is just a political statement. We who live here, we who know Governor Wike doesn't vote in Lagos. He cannot finish all his voting in Rivers and carry the Rivers people to come and vote here. The Rivers people will vote for him because of the good job work he has done there. Leave that one for us. You see, when people start firing on all salvos, they divert the real issue for discussion. We will take each one of these people contesting for our votes. I don't live in Port Harcourt. I live in Lagos. When the time comes, we will showcase. It's not his statement. He's not saying he's talking as if he's a god. He's talking as if he's as another Nigerian who has come to visit his friend. You don't go to your friend's house and start to demolish him. Oh, yes, now he's a national political figure. So what he says is this and that. But he came to Lagos and said, you should not lose the election. But I didn't see that as a measure because he won't contest here. He's not going to come and vote here. We who live here, we who have suffered from the hands of the misgovernance in Lagos, will know where to cast our votes. It is just the beginning. The other two, our own candidate, with all the other candidates, apart from those of us who are card-carrying members, we are not in majority. The real Lagosians, the electorate, will sit down, do an in-depth analysis. Should I trust this man to go on and manage the resources of this state for my benefit? Has he done it in the past? Have we benefited? So those are analyses that will come. They're not just going to railroad us and say, head on, go to the polling station and go and do it. All these were about by the Omo and all this. Yeah, it's part of it. We are in the political season. Right. But the real meat of it, when it comes to the crunch, people will look at it. Can I trust this man for another 4 years? Has he been impactful positively on my mind, on my children, on my movement in Lagos, on my business? So those are issues that he didn't talk about. He just made a general statement, and I don't want us to divert attention from the real issue. The real issue will come when all these people will start to campaign.
Well, Chief Judge, I mean, a lot of people heard Governor Wike, and his words were, and I'll quote him, he said that, I will not regret to say that I'm in support of you. I mean, talking about Governor Sanwo-Olu. Those were his words. I will not regret to say I'm in support of you. So clearly you say you're not on the same page with him. You believe that this is just political talk. Are you saying that Governor Wike does not mean what he said?
Look, if you go to your friend's house, if you go and visit a friend of yours who has also visited you, invited him to commission something in Rivers, and he went there, would he carry the microphone and start to denounce him? So he came here to be chairman of some occasion or whatever. But I am saying, the people of Lagos, the people who reside in Lagos, will make that decision. The impact of his rule, whether it was a misrule or a proper rule will be decided by those people who live here in Lagos. And we are looking forward to that. The time to start campaigning has started. I am hoping that your channel, your television studio must arrange, bring all of them together. Let them come and convince the people of Lagos who should be the next chief executive. It's not a matter of Baba say, oh, look at it. Oh, let me have increased the bursary by 100% during election time. Thank God they've stopped the collection of the toll gate for now. Would they ask you pointedly, are you going to start the collection of toll gates again? There are so many things that we will come on board. So Governor Wike will not come and campaign for him. He came on a pure visit. He's made his statement, and I'm telling you, I didn't even know that he was coming to Lagos. His friend invited him, and he went there. But when it comes to the crunch, to talk at our level about the performances of state by state, I won't go to Ogun State, for example, now, and come and talk to them to say, vote for A or don't vote for B. We look at our own party man there as a Yoruba man. Look, what are you guys doing? Are you ready to defeat the governor? That's all.
Okay, let's talk about your party's...
me to Ogun State, and I decided to go.
I'd like us to talk about your party's plans.
If you invite me to go.
It's a weeks leading up to the elections, and I think, this conversation will be vital as well. But, a lot of people still remember the statements you made about some issues with your party's candidate and, the process to choosing a deputy and all of that. Has that been resolved now? Are you now both on the same page, working together for victory?
Let me tell you what happened. I was told that he made certain comments about me. Of course, he said, oh, Baba George is our leader, is our this, our that. I would not, quoting him, say that I cannot tell you that an elder lied. That was quite insulting. And I didn't take that lightly. I have no quarrel with any of these people. And so for me, as an elder of this party, I'm in my 25th year as a member of this party. Not even on one occasion have I ever thought of leaving the party. And I will leave from here. When I retire, I go back to my home. I feel it is an infra-dignitatem to take him on and be talking. He said this, I said that, I said this, and I said that. Simpliciter. I invited him to my office. I asked, I said, look, he came through one of the most respectable personalities that I respect in this game, who is also my Oga before, Baba, in Babekuta, asked and said, but look, Mrs. Derele Ogunsoya brought this young man that he wants to join the party and be part of the process. I said, no problem, sir. So he came on board. I had never heard about him. In fact, my children are much older than him. So he came, and I accepted him. But as the heat was turning on and on, the other young man, Gbadebo Rosevival, whose father was my classmate, we graduated same year, about 53 years ago, from the University of Lagos. He read law, I read engineering. We've been good friends. So that's his son, okay? He contested on our party platform on the West Senatorial District, which is the largest senatorial district in Lagos. And they go and see the score he garnered. Quite impressive. So as the whole thing was going on, I called Jandor and I said, listen, look, if we don't manage it, there are about 4, 5, or 6 of you. Now, don't go and split your votes. How old are you? He told me he was 43 years old. I called Gbadebo. I said, how old are you? He said he's 39 years old. And I said, okay. Now, the two of you can work together. Gbadebo, you still have 6 years ahead of you. If you work with him, and we can present the two of you as the candidate and the deputy, it will be a beautiful sellout.
Right.
So they appeared, all of them appeared before.
Well, Chief Judge, I hate to break this. I hate to break in just to tell you that we're winding down in 60 seconds. Pardon me, just to give you heads up.
Okay.
Yes.
60. Okay. Let me quickly round it up.
Right.
So they now match. The elders then decided that both of them should be the candidate and the running mate. So many things went on after that. Because he came through the channel he went through, he's now saying he didn't agree. After that, he said they have to appear before a screening committee in Abuja. The screening committee cleared Gbadebo Roosevelt that he was competent, because here is a young man who went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, one of the most brilliant, best universities in America.
So does that mean you're supporting the Labour Party candidates,
he had worked with
Chief
the
George?
American government.
Does that mean you're supporting the Labour Party candidates over your candidates?
No, as a strong member of PDP, I cannot go outside my purview.
Right. So you're still supporting your candidates,
as long as I remain in this party. But people, what is my position? I have only one vote. The issue will be for the Lagosians to listen to them. I will still vote because I'm a PDP, but the Lagosians will take their decision. And
we have to anchor at this point, Chief.
What you could have, could have quickly learned, like Liz Truss said. You know, accept the mistake you made, because you accepted it, and then you are now saying, oh, you didn't do it.
Well, Chief George, we have to run now. I know it's always quite interesting speaking with you and getting the backstory, but we need to go. We'd like to thank you so much for your time on the program tonight. We'll be speaking with Chief Olabode George, a member of the PDP's BOT and former Deputy National Chairman South of the PDP. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Well, we'll take a moment now on the show, and when we return, we'll take a look at the floods yet again and how it affects Lagos State, plus Governor Sanwo-Olu's scorecard as he seeks re-election. Our next guest is Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, who is the State Commissioner for Information and Strategy. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the program. Our next guest tonight is the Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, who joins us live in our Lagos studio. Mr. Omotosho, it's good to have you on the program tonight.
Thank you very much.
Well, we started the program with the flooding situation across the country, and Lagos is not exempted from this. And I'd like to start off from an update regarding that, because there are lots of people in Lagos who maybe have been impacted, some who have fears. They're seeing the water level rising around their areas and are wondering, what is going on? What are we going to do? Okoba, Agege, even a Sherry area, the border with Ogun State. I recall there's been some sort of a warning, as it were. But by means of an update, in terms of the response, prevention, just how much of the ecological fund has been utilized in the response to the flooding here?
Well, thank you very much for raising this question. But first, I would like to say that the governor, Mr. Bayode Sanwo-Olu, and his team, they deserve kudos for what they have done about flooding in Lagos. If you look at other states where they are suffering, Kogi, for example, the capital city is immersed in water. If you look at Anambra, if you look at Taraba, if you look at so many other states, people are leaving their homes. And in Pakistan, people are dying in hundreds. In Florida, everybody's having a headache. And so many other places all over the world. But in Lagos, you don't have this kind of situation, because we have a government that is proactive, because of the kind of investment we have made in our drainage system, which is working, in our cleaning our drains. And then what you have said about people, running up and down, is because they got warnings, early warnings About 3 times we have said through the media that people should prepare, because the weatherman said that this year Lagos is going to experience more rains. But fortunately, because of the preparation that we have made, we have not seen the kind of flooding you have seen in other places. What you see in Lagos are flash floods. Lagos is just about 0.24% below sea level. So it is expected that you have much water in Lagos, and that whenever it rains for hours, you will have flood. But these are mere flash floods, which will just disappear in 2 hours, in 3 hours. About 8 rivers all over the place, River Ajara, River Osun, River Ogun, they discharge into Lagos. So where we don't even have a very solid drainage system that cater for this volume of water, like a Dumagbo area, we have a pumping station that we have put in there, a machine that pumps the water into the lagoon without any effect on the property in the place. So anybody who sees what we have done about preparing for this day that has come in so many other parts of the world, but in Lagos, that we are just hearing about it, it has not touched us. So it's a lot of work that we have done. It's a lot of investment that we have made, a lot of improvement on the drainage system that was built in 2011 that we reworked in 2012, and then we are maintaining up to today.
Right. So this question is, I mean, yes, the things you have said, the approach of the government, but it's also about accountability, because questions have been asked, the federal government, the ecological fund, what is happening to it? So from the perspective of the state, because that's also been an issue, how much of that have you utilized? Are you getting the ecological fund? Is it being used?
If you are talking about the ecological fund, we know that what Lagos is spending on what I'm telling you, the result has shown we are spending much more than we are getting in terms of ecological fund. If you look at what has happened, for example, in so many others, Kogi, Anambra, Taraba, and the rest of them, you will know that Lagos State has really invested in this. But the kind of investment that I tell people that you don't see, you just feel it. You just hear about it. And you are feeling it because if you drive on Lagos roads now, it's not flooded. There are some state capitals you can't drive. There are some parts of some local governments you can't go there at all because of the flooding. So the ecological fund that we are getting, I cannot tell you specifically now that it's X amount of money, but I tell you it's nothing compared to our investment in our drainage system, in our investment in the drains. We have about 222 secondary drains. All of them are being cleaned. Right. That is why you don't have the roads being flooded.
For residents around the border who will be affected by the Oyo Dam release and all of that, their fears, they're seeing the water level rising. What plans does the government have for them specifically, and others who have been affected as well, in terms of maybe relocation, in terms of some sort of succor? What plans, and how can they access this plan?
Now, I think, I do not think because of all the things that we have put in place, it's going to get to a stage that we will have to see IDPs, the kind that we are seeing in Bayelsa, the kind that we are seeing in Kogi and some other places. It's not going to happen in Lagos. That is why we have these early warning signals. Once the weatherman said people should watch out for more rains this year, we alerted our people who are staying in low-lying areas, so Ode Oniri area and such places, Ajegunle, that they should try to move. And up to today, many of them are not moving, and yet the water has not driven them away from their homes.
Right.
And then the water level that is rising that you are seeing, it is natural.
So it's no cause for worry for those residents?
I do not think it's any cause for worry, okay, but it's very good to take precautions.
Okay.
You know,
because, I mean, it rained today, and naturally it looks like there will be more rains. Yes, we needed to resolve that issue. It's an ongoing one, but just to get people to know what to expect and what to do regarding the flood. But let's talk about some other issues around governance. Recently, we had the governorship candidate of the PDP on the program, and he said that he was quite confident, actually, about defeating your party at the election, saying that the people of Lagos want a breath of fresh air, which he represents. And he talked about what he described as misgovernance in Lagos State, utilization of funds, how he believes that it's not showing on the ground, regardless of the quantum of funds coming into Lagos. I know you're aware of that statement, and I wonder, do you agree with him?
I will never agree with him. Because we are talking about somebody who has not tasted governance before, doesn't know what it is, who doesn't even know what the GDP of Lagos is, who does not know that it's not like planning an event, who does not know that it's not like writing a script for a movie. You know, we are talking about all of the good things that Mr. Bayede Sanwo-Olu have done, and has done, and then Lagosians that they are seeing. Only on Wednesday, last week Wednesday, we commissioned 15 brand new schools. 15 brand new schools, 150 blocks of classrooms, and then 1,386 bed space hostels. And then somebody will say, has not seen this. We are building iconic schools in Lelemoro. The Lelemoro school is an 18 classroom school, which is, something that has not been seen in these parts. It has a sick bay, it has laboratories, it has sporting facilities. The kind of sporting facilities there, they are good enough for any national team to practice on. It has a staff room. I mean, students are, happy to go there. Or you want to talk about the wetland school here in Agege, which we built with containers. It's the first of its kind in West Africa. And, it has touchscreen blackboards, which is interactive. The teacher doesn't need to hold a chalk. It has sorting facilities that are there. Students are very happy going to such schools because the furniture is comfortable, because everything that you have there is just brand new, well lit. Some of them, they have 24-hour electricity because it is powered by solar. So if anybody says he has not seen this, or you want to talk about our RAID program, the red line that we're building.
When is it coming on board?
The red line is coming on board by God's grace, and the blue line at the end of this year. And by the first quarter of next year, they are going to be ready for operations.
So
but there is one good thing.
We'll be able to use them from next year?
Yes.
Okay. But is that before the end of this administration, or?
Of course, the first quarter of next year I'm talking about. Right. There is one important thing I would like people to know about the red line. The red line is the only red line that was charted in the administration of Mr. Bayede Sanwo-Olu on April 15, 2021. We did the groundbreaking. We paid about 7,000 residents money to go on, 5,000 residents to go on, for the inconvenience that we are giving them, the property that have been destroyed, to pave way for the red line to go and, get new accommodation. And that's the first time that kind of thing is done in Nigeria. Right. You pay people who are tenants. The landlords, all of them are paid same day. And then, we are building 5 overpasses so that when the train begins to run, you don't have to contest the road with vehicles. 5 overpasses in Yabao, Oyingbo, in Ikeja, in Agbado, so in Agege too. So if you look at that, and you look at the blue line too, and the two of them coming on board simultaneously, by the first quarter of next year, and then somebody is saying that he has not seen what Mr. Bayede Sanwo-Olu has done. Has he not seen the hospitals?
So one of the points he made, Commissioner, is about the quality of life of Lagosians. And you've spoken to some of the projects, but you recall that recently Lagos was ranked the second worst place to live according to the EIU, that's the Economist Intelligence Unit. And you ranked Lagos across some different factors, talked about Lagos scoring 20 in stability. That's out of a possible 100%, 20.8 in healthcare, 44 in culture and environment, 25 in education, 46.4 in infrastructure, 171 out of 172. And looking at that ranking, it is just next to Damascus in Syria. I imagine you're aware of that. So in light of that ranking, what do you have to say?
You see, it's not only this ranking that we are talking about. There are so many dubious figures that are being bandied all over the place.
So you call this one by the Economist Intelligence
if you see people, if you see people who believe in Lagos, if you see people who are proud of Lagos, there are so many figures that they want to give you that will make your heart, to be joyful.
No, this is Lagos, from the Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU.
If it's Economist
Intelligence Unit is part of the body that publishes The Economist, which I imagine that you're well aware of.
Yes. And I am now telling you that I've seen so many good stories published in Economist.
So you say this is dubious?
Nigeria. I do not agree with that figure.
You do not agree?
So because of what I'm seeing in Lagos, I live in Lagos. I'm not traveling from London to come and represent economists here in Lagos and spend a week and say I've done the research.
So to be fair, really, the top 10 cities in the world, Vienna, Copenhagen, Zurich, and all of them, where would you rank Lagos? So 100 to 100, 1 to 172. Where do you think Lagos ranks? Maybe
it depends on the parameters.
No, at least for you, where would you say that Lagos ranks?
I'm telling you that, I've just returned from New York. Lagos is the pride of the black man. Lagos has, the kind of GDP of about 5 countries in Africa.
So essentially,
26
Lagos is comparable
trillion
with New York.
Lagos is about the 98th richest city in the world and number 4 in Africa. All of these figures, those who don't love Lagos, they will not look at them. They'll be talking about Lagos not livable. It's the second worst livable city in the world, yet they come here and have their businesses. So if Lagos is such a bad place, why is it that foreign companies are falling over themselves to come and invest in Lagos?
Right, so
Lagos is attracting the biggest foreign direct investment in Africa.
So just to be fair, to get your final thoughts, you think that Lagos deserves to be ranked better?
I think so. I think
150, 10.
I think so, and it's a challenge to all our local researchers that unless we take up this task of ranking ourselves and researching into all of the things that we need and drawing the parameters by ourselves, we cannot get anywhere.
Well, I would need to anchor at this point. Clearly, lots of issues to discuss, but because of time, we'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Lagos State. Thank you so much for your time. I will definitely be getting updates on the work of the government from time to time. Well, that's been the program for tonight, Sunday Politics. I'm Kayode Okikilu. Don't worry, it gets more interesting. These issues will be raised, will be discussed and analyzed just for you. Good night.